Yeah, we are seeing this Colossi come online. No range upgrade. No, he's making a liar. I mean, just as I say that, a range upgrade going on. And Chrono Boost being brought online. He has a bit of Chrono Boost being saved, so Filthy was saving up to get this extended thermal lance on his Colossi, which will increase their range from 6 to 9. And it would just makes them so deadly. And especially against Hydras, which just get barbecued instantly to these upgraded Colossi. So, but we're only seeing one online at the moment. Filthy's economy was a little bit delayed because he sort of walled himself in and got his expansion much later. But just having a look at the economic differences, the harvesters are almost even here. Filthy even starting to draw ahead. It's 45 over 44, and mOOnGLaDe's only slightly in the numerical advantage. We are seeing this harassment continue though, as we're seeing the 2 Void Rays and a War Prism dropping units, just trying to mix things up a bit in mOOnGLaDe's expansion and keeping on his toes, and it's succeeding in keeping mOOnGLaDe defensive. He hasn't been able to push out. He's been spreading creep pretty nicely, but this harassment from Filthy is just never letting up.
Yeah, it's great play by Filthy just to keep mOOnGLaDe on these 2 bases right now, while he's so desperately trying to get this third. These Void Rays just following everything around, intercepting these roaches while they're moving now, and might be able to take one before. No, they won't, because the Hydra's there in force, and one Void Ray gets away with 5 health, so very lucky for Filthy there. But yeah, there's just so many Hydras now on the field that he will have to rely a lot on these Colossi that are coming out and a ground army, because as it is, these Void Rays are being countered. So
yeah, nice move though here from mOOnGLaDe, getting Inspire online, which is not only giving him the anti-air capability. The main thing is it's going to be able to stop these Colossi once he gets Corruptors online. Although it looks like Filthy wants to take this northern expansion, which mOOnGLaDe is scouting. I really don't like this play. I think he should be taking the southern expansion, considering even though it's a bit further away, he does have that War Prism, and it means he doesn't have to destroy the rocks. So I like that. The advantage of taking this, of course, is that there is no land connection. There's no rocks to destroy. It is an island, so it does have that going for it, and you can put a cannon or 2 down to really defend it quite well. But even though there's destructible rocks, so this is vulnerable to a land attack, I think at this point in the game, using that War Prison to get a base online here would really give him an advantage, especially mOOnGLaDe knows about this. It's just going to encourage him to get air online much faster. We are seeing these Void Rays work on this spawning pool. This would be a critical loss for mOOnGLaDe, getting across that creep really quickly. It looks like the Void Rays will take out the spawning pool, losing 1 Void Ray, but it's a pretty good trade from Filthy. It means that mOOnGLaDe, with his banked minerals, in the middle of a push, he will not be able to produce an absolute ton of Zerglings, which is the panic button for Zerg. It's always saving up larvae, and if there is an attack and an engagement and you lose it and you don't have gas, you can just pump out so many Zerglings so quickly to defend. So good snipe there by Filthy. He's got so many Colossi, almost no supporting units with it, because he got those very expensive air units. But we are seeing 7 Colossi here, ready to make a move out across the map, and they have extended thermal lance. More Colossi being produced and attack upgrades. Now a few Stalkers coming online, but this Colossi just tearing through these destructible rocks. They do have a few sentries hanging out with them, so they'll be able to do a few critical force fields, but it's just so many Colossi. Although mOOnGLaDe catches sight of it, nice little timing on that Overlord scouting, so he's going to know exactly what's coming. He's going to need a lot of Corruptors to come and deal with this. He does have quite a few on the field, so it's whether or not they'll execute well enough to deal with this and the positioning of this fight. He doesn't want to be drawn too far into this choke. But we are seeing these Corruptors go to work, just ignoring the anti-air as they work on these Colossi. 1 Colossi going down to 6 Colossi, and there's rocks in the way, so he can't commit to the fight. Another Colossi going down. These Corruptors really proving their worth now. And that's the beauty of Corruptors, is despite the fact that he had anti-air units, he had quite a few Stalkers and Sentries, he can just ignore them and take a few critical Colossi out. So really great that play there by mOOnGLaDe.
yeah, as much as I do love Colossi, because you know they are fantastic to see when they're just completely smashing everything in their path, but yeah, just Corruptor's the perfect counter to them. So I don't like this position for Filthy, because he's just got so many of these Colossi out, and he's only barely getting this ground army, like the support of the ground army now. So if they engage and these Corruptors do start working on these Colossi, I don't think it'll be enough for Filthy. So it just depends how much of his force Filthy can get out for this fight, because just so many Hydras and Roaches. And yeah, at this point, mOOnGLaDe has got now 2 new expansions out now. He's had them for a while, so he's just going to have such good macro going into this fight if he does lose this whole army.
Yeah, a little bit of cheekiness by Filthy, throwing up a couple of cannons at the gold expansion by mOOnGLaDe. If mOOnGLaDe wants to defend this, he's going to have to warp in a few units or pull off some of his main army. Now, this serves quite a pretty good advantage here, because if mOOnGLaDe leaves this alone and just abandons it, it means that Filthy will be defended nicely. I don't know if I agree with just how heavily he's spending into these cannons, but he is trying to force mOOnGLaDe to go defend it and catch his army out of position, but it looks like mOOnGLaDe's not interested, especially with all these Colossi coming out now. These Colossi will want the fight to occur in this corridor, but once again, mOOnGLaDe sending in his mass corruptor to work on these Colossi. They are bunched Hydra Roaches, so this is perfect for the Colossi to get a nice little angle here as they go to work on these Hydra Roaches, but these Corruptors thinning out the Colossi really, really well. They've already down to 2 Colossi left, only 1 Colossus remaining, and there was a bunch of Hydras and Roaches killed there, but there's just so many units from mOOnGLaDe, and mOOnGLaDe's pushing so far across the map. I like his positioning here. Filthy needs to desperately get something online, but because he went air units, he doesn't have warp gates. He's forced to make them manually, and they're much, much slower, even with those chrono boosts he was burning. So, really good positioning here from mOOnGLaDe, who looks like he may be pulling out to save his gold expansion. I think he could have just ignored it and gone in for the win there, but no, mOOnGLaDe wants to play safe and cautiously maintain that macro advantage, while Filthy continues to make cannons at this gold expansion, which is going to be hugely annoying for mOOnGLaDe, but these roaches should take care of it. And I imagine we're going to see this hive come online and then switch in a Greater Spire. If Filthy can somehow survive that long, because just right now he just seems to be against the ropes hugely. More Stalkers coming out, but there's just mass Roach. But Filthy, always aggressive, seems to be looking to catch these Roaches out of position. Nice little force field there going down, catching a bunch of Roaches, but there's no blink on these Stalkers. All these upgrades, blink and attack upgrades that he should have, it's just been delayed because he went for that fast Stargate build and then into Robo. So now that he's getting gateway units online, all those upgrades and facilities, like even just warp gates that you would normally have online when you tech evenly into a warp gate build, is that he just doesn't have access to them. And now that he needs these kind of units, he can't really rely on that. So while he was so good in the early game, I just don't think he's capitalized enough here, and mOOnGLaDe's position is really commanding. He has such a lead right now.
There's just so many Corruptors, 18 Corruptors just flying like just a blob of doom now, completely countering everything that Filthy had going in the early game, so that'll put an end to any Colossi or anything of that nature. So they're just kind of scouting out in the base now while these Stalkers are desperately trying to move into position. A very mass Stalker army here with only a handful of Immortals and Sentries, so we'll have to see how this turns out, but I like mOOnGLaDe's position. He's just so strong right now.
Yeah, with this many Stalkers, this is where Speedlings would be great, but mOOnGLaDe just has such an incredible economy right now. He's almost double Filthy's economy, even though he's got half the bases. Now here we are seeing a massive engagement here. Really nice angle taken here by mOOnGLaDe. He's got his Roaches in the front, and then his Hydra's able to go to work. But so many Stalkers here, but they're just slowly winding down, and these Corruptors all burning corruption on these units, and it's especially valuable against an Immortal, which was holding up and doing really well there, but corruption going off all over the place. It only increases damage by 20%, but it still helps, and it just wiped Filthy off the floor there. So mOOnGLaDe takes the 3rd game there because he was just so strong. And mOOnGLaDe wins this series 2-1, but that doesn't mean mOOnGLaDe wins the Trans-Tasman. Now we go, because that's only the first elimination in a double elimination tournament for Filthy. So now we go to a best of 3, and this is for all the sheep stations. If either player wins the next best of 3, then they win the tournament.
Yeah, great play by mOOnGLaDe, and fantastic choice to use Corruptors for that. It was the perfect counter to what Filthy had in his game plan there. So, great play by mOOnGLaDe, and they'll go to the 2nd round, I guess.
I'm so excited about 3 more games. Let's do it!